My name is Chris McLeod. I am 38. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, and have been transplanted down to the Texas area through life and experiences. And I grew up military dependent, military brat. Lived overseas for a majority of my childhood. Been back here now since I was 18, kind of just going through life. Have a daughter, have a loving wife, beautiful family, and so far life has been pretty good. I think the world is going to be a completely different transformation of what we see now. And I come from a generation previous to the internet. So I look at technology as the rapid advancement of whatever's coming next. I think you're going to have a lot of folks that may or may not be able to adapt. I think you're going to have a lot of industries emerge. I really would like to see maybe a culture change in how people think and how they live. I think a lot of the problems that we run into is really stemming from a lot of corporate greed, not really caring about your fellow man. I would hope that as a civilization, as a community, we would come back to that. But do I think that'll happen? No, I don't. I think status quo until everybody pretty much throws up arms and they're just fed up with it enough to do something, either on a small level or even on a bigger level. But I think the world is in a process of a massive shift. I think we work in cycles as a civilization, and I don't know. I have a pit gut feeling that this is the end before a new beginning, and what that looks like, I hope it's amazing. It terrifies me. I would hope that people understand some of the things that do change and they're able to adapt, because I feel like that's going to be a lot of what you see. People that can or cannot adapt. Like I said, technology is just such a big aspect of our everyday lives that we may be flying around in cars. But then they said that during the Jetsons too, so I remember we were supposed to have flying cars by now. I think you're going to see a massive shift. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, I think the way people look at things will change drastically. Don't know what that looks like though. I really hope the world comes together. To be completely honest, I thought COVID, this pandemic we experienced, I was really thinking that was going to bring more people together. It seemed like it did the opposite. And that really kind of saddened me, just to see people kind of just giving up on each other. And it was almost like a feast or famine mentality in a lot of areas. I have family members all over the country, and it was different everywhere. I would really hope that there is a step process for more inclusion, less racism. I come from a family, and my upbringing was treat everybody the way you would like to be treated. I'm hoping that our civilization gets back to a mentality of that versus me, myself, and I. That's the hopes. And if we can do something like that, I think the future is bright. But looking back on just the last 2 years, it kind of leaves some doubts. Yeah. I worry that the world that we may be stepping into is one of almost like good versus evil. More of a world that really is kind of a dark place. We're starting to see food shortages. I mean, just in the DFW area, there's a lot of food deserts. I think that if countries continue to try to world dominate, try to exclude certain races or even groups of people, instead of working together, working against each other, I think with the capabilities that world militaries have, world powers have, I don't think a lot of folks will be making it the way that they are now. I think a lot of folks, and I just speak for common people, I'm a rich guy by any means. I have lived paycheck to paycheck. I've been homeless before. So I think you will see more of that. Just hardship, major hardship. My daughter, she's 17. She's come to me several times. What's the point of going to college? As her mother and myself, her father, her parents, we try to encourage her with what she likes, her interests, and her future. She just doesn't seem like it's a very bright future. She sees more bleakness than brightness. It makes me sad, because I lived through what will probably be quantified as the end of the golden eras. So I've seen prosperity, and I don't see a lot of people driving to better themselves. I think a lot of folks are lost, and I feel like that's going to continue to the next generation into the future. And if things don't change, I think that's going to be that's going to be a big problem. I think utopia, a place where you don't have to worry where your next meal's coming from, a place where you don't have to worry where you're laying your head down, where you don't have to worry about your safety or your family's safety, that there are going to be things that you can do to better yourself and your common man. What that looks like in terms of society, I have no idea. But I think getting back to just being more in touch and tune with what our surroundings are, our individual beliefs, I would hope in a utopia would be seen with open eyes and open hearts versus just disdain. Just having a different idea, it seems, even in today's world, you're persecuted. And if you see something differently, it doesn't vote well with folks. I'd like to see some of those things go away and just working together more versus against each other, I think, in my mind, is a perfect utopia. Where things can actually happen, blossom, and there is a bright future.